All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that action clip right there. After this video clip, I'm going to narrate a little bit more and explain my workout for today. This is one of my 5 workouts that I'm doing per week as I get ready for 2018 USAPL Raw powerlifting. So I'm going to sign up for a meet and try to generate good lifts. So most of you on this channel know me as TUAN TRAN JKD in the sense of my pursuit becoming a TUAN TRAN JKD instructor. But I wanted to shoot this video to let you guys know a little bit more about myself in the sense of my occupation, my education, and some of the other things that I do and other things I pursue. So right here I got some information here in the sense that for the last 15 plus years I've been competing as a USAPL Raw powerlifter. Some of the awards I've achieved and some of the records that I've held back in the past. And ultimately my goal is to pursue the ability to continue maintain my strength level so I could compete in my 40s. Right now I'm 37, so in about 3 more years I'll be qualified to compete at Raw Nationals in the 40 to 49 age group. So a little bit of delayed gratification in the sense of my ability to maintain myself until I turn 40 so that I can compete on the national stage in that age category. So now I'm going to move into a little bit more about the workout that I did today. Alright, so this is not necessarily the beginning of the workout. I'm actually going to explain the beginning of the workout later on. I have some PowerPoint presentations there. So here I'm just showcasing like the amount of sets, the weight, and the reps that I did as I progress. This program is designed to get me ready for a powerlifting meet, but again, it also helps me to lose a little bit more weight. Not necessarily body fat, because as a powerlifter, you actually want to have a certain level of body fat so that your testosterone level is a little bit higher. So I'm not trying to be like 3-4% body fat. I would not lift that well. So I need to lift in a way that maintains my physique in a way that will promote me to be a better powerlifter, not necessarily a bodybuilder. And at the same time, it allows me to get a lot more warm-up sets. So you can see the breakdown. You know, I do, first set is for 20 reps at 45 pounds. Second set is 15 reps at 95 pounds. Third set, 10 reps, 135. Fourth set, 5 reps, 185. Then I do 4 sets of triples where I do 225, 275, 315, 365. And then I work on my singles starting at 405, then 435, 455, 465. And that one, again, there's a certain level of adaptation. You have to understand that as a father, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I'm working a lot. I have a lot of responsibilities, and you know, my ability to sleep, what I need to get done, whether my body has healed. And remember, this program that I'm doing is designed for me to train a minimum of 4, if not 5 days a week. 3 of those workouts are heavy powerlifting workouts to get me ready for a powerlifting meet. So I don't always feel up to lifting a tremendous amount of weight. So the program gives me a certain level of adaptation, allows me to adapt depending on how I feel, how my body feels. So the thing is, if I come in with like a set number that I have to lift certain amount of weights at a certain amount of reps automatically, no questions asked, that might be a problem. So the thing is, as a medical exercise specialist, as a performance specialist, I understand that there's a certain level of adaptation, and I have the education to make modification when necessary. So just to let you guys know the way I approach training, not just for myself, but for my clients as well. So understand, I have clients that are in their 40s and their 50s and their 60s. A lot of these individuals have a lot of responsibilities. They don't live in the gym like I do, in the sense that, you know, I work 70, 80 hours a week in my facilities, but they're, you know, probably in a chair. They're driving a lot, they're on airplanes, they're in their offices, and they're sitting most of the day. So I have to learn how to train their posture, how to work on muscle recruitments, how to offset a lot of tightness, because let's face it, the deadlift, a great exercise, but there's a high risk reward aspect to the deadlift, in the sense that if you don't address a lot of the problems that you may have, then the risk of injury is very high. And then once you tweak your lower back, Life is not good. So again, as you can see, I'm just progressing through. And you'll notice that as I get to my fives, triples, and singles, I like to do reset reps. And people will ask me, well, why are you doing reset reps? Why are you not just touching and going at that point? Well, the reason why is I want to practice the perfect deadlift every rep. So that way, when I go to my powerlifting meet and I'm lifting, you only get one try and you have 3 attempts on each try. So if your first lift is not the perfect lift right out of the gate, then you're gonna have some problems, trying to optimize and maximize your lifting potential. So that's why it's good to do reset reps, to actually pretend like, again, you're doing a 1 rep max every single time. And some people say, well, is it that harder? Is it that more taxing on your energy levels? So I'm like, sure it is. It'll just make me stronger too, and it'll make me refine my technique that much more. So when it's time for me to go to the meet, I'll be that much better prepared. So again, it's up to you guys to figure out what works for you. And this is something that I felt like has worked for me over the years. Now, I'll get other questions like, well, I'm making money at the powerlifting meets. Is there really any benefits? I mean, there are benefits. I mean, I am a fitness professional. I am a personal trainer. I am a performance specialist. I'm a medical exercise specialist. So when it comes to the execution of the deadlift, the science behind it, how to teach it, how to perform it, all that's important for my clients, because lifting weight off the ground is a very basic, fundamental thing that everyone should be able to do, right? So the deadlift is a great exercise. As for me personally, I'm very passionate about powerlifting. It's a very objective sport. Either you lift it or you don't. There's not a lot of gray area. There's not a lot of subjective opinions about this. Either you do it or you don't. And there's something very satisfying about that. The other thing I love about it is that it's giving me objectives as I get older. Everything's not about money. I just have invested so much into this. And then this allows me to showcase like my education, what I've learned, also the amount of work I put in every single day, every single week to progress, because this doesn't happen overnight. I'm just not strong because I just went in and decided to lift, heavy weights. I went through a progression that at the age of 37, I'm still improving on my ability to lift, my techniques, my imagery and visualization of how to do it. So I'm just kind of trying to give you guys some insight of how I approach lifting and powerlifting and why it has an importance and value to me, in a sense, as a professional, fitness professional, and as a martial artist, and as a person who's just trying to progress in life. All right, so now you'll see here in these videos, I'm just doing some assisted lifting. So here, you see me elevate on the platform, and now I'm doing some Romanian deadlifts, elevate on the platform. So I'm working on range of motion. I'm working on just making sure that my body is mobile enough so that I can get into position of maximum leverage. So very important to do a lot of these secondary exercises. So I do another 3 sets. Each of these sets I keep around 6 reps, so it's a good amount of work, not too much on the volume, not too heavy. And because remember, as a powerlifter, my ultimate objective is just to lift the weight one time, but I still have to have enough endurance so that I can do the sub max or max lifts multiple times in the meet, and then I also have to still be able to do it for bench press and squat. So again, understanding what I need for myself as a person who's trying to maximize his performance as he gets older, and to make it to Raw Nationals, the USAPL Raw Nationals when I turn 40 in the Masters category, 40 to 49. And remember, as I stated before, I'm about 185 to 187 pounds right now. The cutoff is 182.5. So I need to make sure that as I do these lifts, I continue to train to get better at my lifts. But at the same time, I have to lose weight, but not in a way that would make me weaker. Doing a lot of cardio is not going to be good for me. Training my slow twitch muscle fibers does nothing to make my fast twitch muscle fibers more productive. And that's the thing, you can't be everything at the same time. So you have to be really smart about how you approach it. So my objective is to lift with more volume, Also to finite my eating habits so that I'm able to create a caloric deficit without having to sacrifice a tremendous amount of energy towards doing a lot of cardiovascular training and doing a bunch of conditioning type exercises that, again, that will actually take me away from being a better powerlifter for my meet. So again, a little bit of understanding of the science of how the body transitions and changes, and how you can have multiple objectives and goals that are counterproductive because they're competing against one another. So I'm not going to be training for some 10K race and then train as a powerlifter. My objective here is to train to lose enough weight while maintaining my strength levels going into the powerlifting meets. All right, now here you'll see something very interesting. So this is the TI Health and Fitness. Again, this is my organization, my program. And I have two charts here. One is the athletic performance pyramid, and the other one is the injury progression cycle. So it's very interesting. So I'll go over this with you guys to give you a better understanding. So on the athletic performance pyramid, the very first foundation is ambition, work ethic, self-motivation, emotional stability, coachability. Virtually, if the athlete is not mentally prepared to take on all these responsibilities themselves, there's no way that individual will progress. You can't teach them anything. They're not willing to work. They lack motivation. They just feel like they should be able to get results, just by applying themselves part way versus all the way. So again, the foundation of the athletic performance pyramid has to do a lot with the mental, I guess you could say, mental awareness of the athlete, or the individual that's being trained. And again, as they say, you can pull a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Same thing with the athlete or the individual. If they're not willing to learn, if they're lazy, or they find that they can't generate the motivation themselves, or they're not willing to listen to individuals, or they can't handle high stress situations, all of that will derail the individual before we even try to do anything athletic or sports performance related. Next is mobility, stability, and functional movement patterns. So understand that if the body doesn't recruit the muscles properly, and you don't understand what's going on, and you think just automatically because you're doing some type of exercise and lift that the body would automatically do everything properly so that you optimize lift, is false and very naive. If that was the case, then I could easily go out there. A golf professional can show me how to do the perfect swing 1 or 2 times, and then next thing you know, I'll be in the PGA, slamming the ball 300 yards down the fairway every single time, just because, I expected perfect form without any practice, without retraining my body. So again, there's a lot to be said about mobility, stability, and functional movement patterns being trained in the athlete so that they can progress, whether it be a lift or a sport-specific type exercise. Now, the next part on the pyramid is your speed, your power, your strength, and your endurance. So again, all right, I'll use powerlifting for example. So I worked on my mobility and stability so that I can stabilize myself on the squats and squat down the low parallel, and then I have fired the muscles properly so that I can optimize the muscle recruitment patterns, right? So now, because I understand the squat, now I can actually work on the speed, the power, the strength aspects, and the endurance aspects of being a better squatter, right? So there goes an example of how I use a particular exercise in a powerlifting meet to establish the second foundation to move to the third foundation of the pyramid. And last is sports skill. That's when all the real technical nuances will come into play. Some things that are specific for one person that would not relate to someone else just because of their height, length of limbs, their genetic structure, their nutrition. Maybe it's something to do with, like, maybe for the individual, they're suffering from weak grip strength on the deadlift, so they have to do more sport-specific training to improve their grip strength. Maybe a golfer is struggling with putting the ball a certain way, so then he has to go and meet with someone to kind of work on those aspects, right? Or maybe a person that's a MMA fighter tends to spar well in like practice, but they don't do mentally well in the ring, like they get amped up and use too much energy. Well, they might have to see a sports psychologist to work on that. So that's a little bit about the athletic performance pyramid. So next, I'm going to go into the injury progression cycle. And I always tell people, once injury sets in, your training ends. So it's very important to understand that you have to be healthy before you can lift and before you can train for any sports or martial arts or anything you're in, right? So the first part of the injury progression cycle is just joint stability integrity. If you twist your ankle, you're not doing anything. If you bust up your ACL, not going to do anything. If you're suffering from impingement syndrome or you have a torn rotator cuff in your shoulder complex, not going to be lifting much with your upper extremities. So the integrity and stability of your joints are vital, inside out. If something on the inside is broken, doesn't matter how strong and powerful and how good looking your muscles are, not going to do anything. Number two is balance. So again, balance could be two things. It could be the balance that we have when we're standing on the ground. That's one, because obviously let's say if I want you to exercise on ice, that would be a no-go because you couldn't stabilize yourself. Or if I tell you to do all your exercises on one leg versus having both legs on the ground, that's an example as well. Another one is balance in the sense of the definition of the muscles at play, that each muscle is at the proper strength and the proper length tension relationship, flexibility to do their jobs, and if they're firing or not. So that's another way you can look at balance. So if anything on those levels are off, then you're a no-go. Range of motion or flexibility. If you have the range of motion of an 80-year-old man, then you're probably not going to be lifting very well. You're probably not going to be moving very fast. So a lot of athletic aspects are going to go out the window. And again, if you have very limited range of motion and you reach too far, let's say to pick up your keys off the ground, well, if you stretch a muscle beyond what they're capable of handling, then they're going to strain those muscles and tear them and destroy them. So range of motion is very important. Again, that's why it's number 3 in the progressive cycle when it comes to injury. All right, next is muscle recruitment. Again, people, when they do squats and deadlifts and lower body exercises, they think the muscles are activating properly, but they could be quad dominant, or the pathways of their joints aren't moving properly when it comes to their knees and their ankles. Or also, like, let's say a tennis player or a golfer is swinging their racket or their club, and they're not optimizing and maximizing the accuracy of hitting the ball properly. Well, again, their muscles might not be recruiting well, so then they have an improper gait pattern, so that's why they miss, or that's why they're off. You see, same thing with runners, people who jog a lot. You know, if they're running and their running gait or jogging gait is a poor alignment, and their muscle recruitment pattern is not really that efficient, then they're going to lose a lot when it comes to stride frequency and stride length. All right, coordination. Well, as stated before, there's a sequence of muscles that have to activate before another sequence of muscles, right? So there's like, first muscle, second muscle, third muscle, fourth muscle, and all this happens, in milliseconds to seconds. And whether or not your body is able to do that on a reactionary level, I don't know. So coordination is key. Proprioception. Well, proprioception is next, because once all this is happening, well, you have to be able to feel this happening. You can't see every single muscle in the human body activate to do something well or do something appropriately. There's over 600 muscles in the human body. You can't think, I need to turn on A, B, C, D all the way to X, Y, Z, because that's impossible. I mean, there's 600 muscles, so each one of these muscles, you just have to have a feeling of what needs to be happening internally in order for your body to execute the movement properly. And then once all that's established, then you have to work on the endurance. Then you get to move the strength, because let's face it, if your endurance sucks, you won't be able to progress and do more sets and reps because you're already gassed, so how can you work on strength? Now when you work on strength and hypertrophy, then you have a chance to work on those different types of fast twitch muscle fibers will lead to power. And power is the end result of your optimum performance levels when it comes to, in my case, how much weight can I lift for one repetition when it comes to the squat, the bench press, and the deadlift. All right, so as I explained, the very beginning of my workout, is this right here. So I just kind of wrote it out. Some of you guys may understand this, some of you may not. But again, this is the customization of the program to optimize my lifting potential, right, for the workout, and also to make sure that I address various areas so that I minimize any possibility of injury. So you see, the first thing I do is a dynamic warm-up. I do quad stretch deadlifts, adductor stretch lateral shuffles, cat-cow maneuvers, quadruped arm extended rotations, child cobra pose maneuvers, two-band rotations, internal, external rotations. Then in between my sets, a lot of times a lot of guys, they sit down and they get on their phones or they just sit around. There's a lot you can do depending on what you need to address so that you can optimize your recovery and maximize the performance of each coming set, right? Because you saw that I went from 45 pounds all the way to 465 in this video. So and this is where you have to be more instinctive, more intuitive to what's going on. If you don't have the knowledge, then that's when you hire someone to coach you and to tell you what they think you need to do based off of the answers you give them when they ask various questions. So here are some of the things I'll do between sets. I'll do some myofascial release using either the foam roller or a stick or maybe a trigger point release ball. I'll do static stretches in certain areas to improve reciprocal inhibition. Again, if you don't understand what that is, well, that's why you would hire someone like me to work with you and explain that in the future. Even things like just lying down with my legs elevated to deload my lumbar hip complex and max my adrenal triphosphate phosphocreatine system recovery so that my body is prepped to perform those heaviest sets, because that particular energy pathway is vital for me to either A, lift the weight, or B, not lift it. All right, so there you guys have it. I want to just kind of narrate and kind of open up to you guys and let you know a little bit more about myself. Also that to just continue to narrate and chronicle my performance, my progression as I get ready for my meet, and and this also helps me to become a better martial artist in the sense of anyone who increases in power, endurance, range of motion, flexibility, muscle recruitment, coordination, proprioception, all those things help a martial artist or a combat specialist or MMA fighter. So, all good stuff. Okay, and as always, if any of you guys need any help with anything that you've seen here in this video or anything related to the fitness world, post-rehab, medical exercise, corrective exercise, nutrition, you can message me and let me know, and then see what we can do. I do provide services here in my facilities at TI Health and Fitness, and I also provide online services as well. Okay, you guys, take care. More videos to come, and thanks for watching.